Hello and welcome to Rewriting Reality. I know we are usually on the fourth Monday of the month and it's the fifth, but I was on a cruise. So, this choice, be on a cruise, come to the show. We pushed it back a week. So I'm here now. I want to see if my guest is here. She was on the cruise with me and I said, hey, let's do a show on Monday. And yeah, that's how tight I made this thing happen. And she said yes, but I think she may not have written down the link to get here. So we're going to see what happens, and we might have a guest up here who's texting me right now. So there we go. So anyway, the cruise was a speaker's cruise. And this is something I tell a lot of people. If you want to get your message out there, you got to speak. And on this particular cruise, we were doing 3-minute talks because if you can get your message out in 3 minutes, you can get your message out in pretty much any amount of time. Oftentimes, when you're asked to speak, you get anywhere from a 20-minute to an hour-long speaking spot. But what can happen is organizers will come up and say, look, the last couple of people went long and they ate up in time. We try to make up time. Can you do a shorter talk? And I've taken hour-long talks and put them in 20 minutes. I haven't had to do an hour-long talk and make it 3 minutes, but I know I can because I know my 3-minute talk. And that was one of the big things for this event. So we had a lot of fun, met a lot of cool people, and now I'm back and I'm no longer in the Caribbean, and I'm a little sad about that. But I am happy to be here with you today. So what's going to happen is I think I have a substitute coming in just a little while, and we'll have a conversation with her. And I was just trying to think of the other lessons that popped up during this cruise. Oh, okay. So here's the thing. You want to be visible, but you don't want to be arrogant. Okay. So there were a couple times on that cruise where uh, people just were in this space and you're like, ooh, what's going on with you? So this is a tricky thing because on one hand, you want everyone to see your value. You need to express that. On the other hand, you don't want people thinking, who the hell is this and why are they acting like that? So I've found that the more you tap into your value and know you have value, the less the need is to come up and go, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. You just get seen, right? People will just feel that presence. They'll want you up on stage. They'll want to talk to you. And and from there, you can just make things happen. So look at this. I've got Catherine to the rescue here. So here's one of my best friends, Catherine O'Leary, is going to have a conversation with me. Welcome, Catherine. She's the director of the CIA, by the way, not that CIA. She's going to explain
Not
that.
that's it. No.
Please explain it to Catherine.
So one of the challenges that a lot of entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and even small businesses face is really understanding their ideal clients. And what the central, or sorry, not the central, that would be the other guys. The client intelligence agency is all about is really helping you understand your ideal clients, whether that's through profiles or helping you connect with them, basically building deeper relationships with your client base so that you can increase your retention rates and your lifetime value of your customer. Because one thing that people don't tell you that are trying to make sure that you have a lot of leads coming into your business is that it's 5 times more expensive to get a new client than it is to service clients that you already have. So we're not spending enough time with the clients that we already have.
This is very true, and I know how much work's involved in getting new clients. And there's a middle ground too that a lot of entrepreneurs don't usually take advantage of. Is old clients that have finished with you, reaching out to them is easier than getting new clients. Well, especially if they were happy with your service. If they weren't happy with your services, don't reach out to them.
True.
So yeah,
True. Yeah. Your previous clients are, well, first of all, they're a wealth of information from a market research standpoint. So understanding, where they are now, what's going on, like reaching out and just saying, hey, we haven't talked for a little while. what's up, what are your current challenges, and maybe you can, still serve them and still help them out.
Absolutely. And they could be a source of testimonials. I have my New Year's Eve event coming up. And the thing I forgot to do last year was say, could you do a little testimonial if you like this event? So I started talking to some people now saying, hey, remember the event last year? Did you like it? And people are already saying, oh, I'd be happy to do a testimonial for you. I'm like, okay, that was easy. And it's amazing when you just ask what you can get.
Yeah, and when you think about, I mean, the way that people buy now and the way that people that get their information now, reviews are a really big part of that. If you think of Amazon, if you think of, books that you're reading, if you think about any products that you're buying, you're like a lot, even restaurants that you're going to, like people are like they are looking at, not for everything, but for a lot of things, they are looking at the reviews. So the more reviews or AKA testimonials that you have, the better that it's going to be for those people that are a little bit on the fence potentially.
And not only that, if you are on Amazon and you get a lot more reviews, they make you more visible than
Yeah.
someone without those reviews. So, so if you want to get in the public eye, get a lot more people to review your book.
And it plays for your SEO, it plays for, your searchability. There's a lot of benefits to it. So yeah, and people are willing. I mean, as long as they've had a good experience, or the I think the trick, and Shiraz, you can attest to this, is not just saying, "Can you give me a testimonial?" Because that leaves it really open, and people don't want to think. They don't want to, like, you're giving them work now that they don't like.
Yeah.
So if there's a way, and there's a couple of tools that you can use for this, but if there's a way to say, if you could focus on this one thing, or if you can, talk about, specifically about the one aha, or like give them some framework as to what you want them to talk about, as opposed to just saying, can you give me a testimonial? It helps them out. Like people go so far as to send templates through and say, if this works for you, just let me know or make changes. You can make it easier for your clients to actually give you testimonials.
Yeah. And the higher the level of the client, the more important it is to make it easier because they tend to be busy.
Mhm.
Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank actually did a testimonial for my book, How to Rewrite Reality. And did he do the testimonial? Kind of. I sent him 3 possible testimonials, and he's like, "I like this one best. This expresses me most." Boom, done. So he just had to circle one. That was it.
I
But
didn't know that Kevin O'Leary recommended your book.
not Kevin O'Leary, Kevin Harrington. Kevin Harrington.
I was gonna say, I think
Sure.
that I would know that. Like,
Okay, yeah, you would
you
know.
know,
Kevin Harrington. I got my Kevins mixed up. I'm sorry. So, yeah. So okay. So Catherine, the
yes.
the this episode is actually called "The Power of Saying No to Clients." Okay.
Okay.
So Erin,
Yep,
Loman, Jeck, and I were supposed to be discussing this of the power of saying no to clients, and you know about that as well.
I do.
So please tell our audience why it's important not only to say yes to the right clients, but say no to the wrong clients.
Yeah, and I mean, we've dealt with this, um, or I've dealt with this both in corporate as well as in an entrepreneurial life. And here's the thing: you may be needing that cash. Cash flow is a thing. It's a thing that honestly, whether you're making 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 figures, cash flow is always a thing. So just like get used to that particular, um, qualification. Um, but like a bad client will cost you so much more than just the fees that they paid you. They will cost you in time. They will cost you in sanity points. They will cost you in the interaction that they have with your other clients. If it's a group setting, this is why masterminds in particular, especially high level masterminds, send you through an application process and don't take everyone because they are the gatekeepers to to their communities. And that's what you need to be. You need to be a gatekeeper and be really super clear on who's allowed in your community and who's allowed in your own personal kind of space and energy, because those people that are, not for you, they can be real like energy vampires, and they'll drive you bonkers. They will ask for the moon and demand more than like your favorite clients ever would. Um, and um, and there's nothing you can do to make them happy. So like it's not even a case of let me just get out of this with like a decent testimonial. Like there's nothing, like they are gonna badmouth you no matter what. So there's, the threat to not being able to ever satisfy them. There's a threat to your community as a whole and driving good people away. And Shiraz, you and I have talked about this before. When somebody doesn't fit, it can actually, send other people off calls and off, going to events. And it's never going to be worth the money that you're grabbing at the front end in the kind of the pain and suffering in the back end, if you will.
Yeah.
And like one of the major corporate credit cards, we used to do market research for, we had to fire them because they were absolute nightmares to work with. Overly demanding, uncompromising, mean, like mean-spirited, and I've come across that with my own entrepreneurial journey, and once you recognize it, you run away from it.
Mhm. Yeah, and you're absolutely right with how it affects the business. Because I've had, I remember one client in particular would sign up for everything I did. I was always eager, but was not the most pleasant person. And so people would actually say, "Oh, I saw you've got that workshop coming up. Is so and so going to be there? Because if he is, I'm not." And when you get several people saying that, you're like, "Oh, I guess I got to get rid of so and so, even though so and so buys everything." Like, it's not worth it. It's costing with all these other clients.
It's really not.
Well,
It's just it can actually cost you more.
yeah,
Like it can cost you signups. It can cost you people going to events. It can cost you people in your high ticket offers. If you're not careful, because I mean, remember that as entrepreneurs and as small businesses, what we're creating is communities. Most of us are
mhm,
creating, whether it's an email list or the a group of people that come to group coaching, or whatever that looks like. It is a community, and we talk about like-minded individuals. So be careful who's like-minded to you or who's going to be associated with you as a like-minded individual.
yeah,
Because if that person isn't like-minded, then you kind of don't want to be there.
yeah, absolutely true. Now, I want to take this a little broader. It's not just about your clients. Catherine, have you ever been in a situation where you're hosting a big event and you're looking for sponsorships, people that are supposed to promote, and how does that go?
Again, it's about alignment, um when you first start out, I feel like when businesses first start out, they get a little, I'll take anyone, right? Like clients or JV partners or sponsors or whatever it is. Like I just need the cash. I need the the list. I need the stuff. As you grow that out and as you get out of that kind of that mode of lack, or that mode of kind of desperation almost, you start to get really thick-skinned and really super picky about who is going to associate, who you're going to allow,
Mhm,
them to associate with your business. Because you get people that, you hear stories that, those people didn't really fulfill, or they didn't really pay out their JV partners, or they get a bad reputation. And this industry, or like our industry, Shiraz, is
mhm.
too small for that kind of stuff, right? Like, I mean, we find out.
Yeah,
Um, and um, and again, if you have a whole bunch of partners or sponsors that aren't pulling their weight, then all you end up doing is herding cats, because all you're trying to do is get them to do what they said they were going to do. So you're chasing them to try and get them to do stuff instead of focusing on serving your ideal clients and serving the people that you're trying to bring into the event or bring into the masterclass or bring into the retreat or whatever it is. So it's taking the energy and the thought and care away from the people that are coming to it for that, and putting it in a place that, kind of it doesn't deserve to be.
And it's interesting because it's definitely it's not a I'm at a certain level, therefore I become a prima donna. Because I've had people that would you like to be in my event? And they're like, sure. How can I help promote? Why don't we do a live together to get even more people involved? And they're giving all these suggestions about how to make it better. And then I've had other people that I said, sure. But just remember, I'm not the type of person that pays a sponsorship. I always do this for free because the level I'm at, and then they didn't promote it. And I'm going like jumping through hoops to try to make sure they're happy before the event. And then they just don't do any promotion. And afterwards they say, well, we thought there'd be more people at your event. I'm like, but you were supposed to bring some of them.
Yeah, and so I think that when it comes to sponsorships or sponsors, at your event, or JV partners, I think that there's a vetting process that we skip, or
Mhm.
that maybe we don't go deep enough into because we're afraid that, like if I ask them to do all this stuff, they're not going to do my event. Um, you also need to be a little bit careful, especially if you're offering an affiliate, commission. You want like some of those bigger players, some of those bigger lists are only in it for the money. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's a different energy thing. So make sure that you're aligned, with, somebody that is really like the only reason why you're there is because they think that they can make money. Not opposed to that. I'm just saying that's not an alignment with, everyone. And remember that those are the people that they're bringing in. So, like, you gotta remember that, the person is in alignment with their community. Those are the community people that are gonna be coming into your community. So, be a gatekeeper. Make sure that, their people are your people.
Yeah, and that's really key because I don't think a lot of people even think of that. They're thinking of that person, I'll have access to the audience, but is that an audience you want access to, really? So,
And some audiences, like, there are some audiences that I can think of offhand right now where I'm like, "Oh, no, hell no. Like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I don't want you. I don't want your people. I don't want your people's people." I mean, we are just so out of alignment. It just like, I mean, it would actually be a cancer to my community.
yeah,
So let's not introduce it, right? Now that's an extreme level, but uh, you just again you got to start getting picky. And sometimes when you start out, you can't be as picky as you'd like to be. I think that that actually ends up biting you in the butt in the way on the way out, though.
yeah. So, uh, one of my programs that you're well aware of is $1 million Impact Makers. And overall, people are paying $100,000 to be in that program. The first fee is 12,500, which is a good chunk of cash. And I've refused people on that program
Mhm.
because I know the women that are in that program get along and support each other and are sassy and will insult me to my face, and it's all part of the fun. And there'll be someone that wants to get in, and there's a couple different variations. There's the you're not going to be a match, and everyone's going to get pissed off, and they might even leave my program. So I don't want you in the program. But there's also been a situation, and this is where there's that nuance is you would do really well in my program, just not with these people.
Mhm.
And sometimes you really have to make that distinction because they could do well, they could do all the stuff, you could get $100,000 from them, but it's not actually going to do good for your business, even though they become successful. And that's when I discovered that nuance, it changed my business and changed me personally in a big way because before it was like, oh yeah, I know they'll succeed, I'll just let them in. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? No, I will get private messages and phone calls, and it's
Well, or it's it's a no for this cohort.
yeah.
Let's get you a cohort.
Mhm.
Right? Like, yes, this program can work for you. Let's get personalities and people together that will like you're all supported. So it's not a no, it's just a not this group. Let's concentrate on like a different group for you.
That
Or as you said, like personal coaching or something separate. There's always a way you can serve
mhm.
if the person is right for you.
Yeah,
It may not be the person is right for that particular cohort or that particular program. It doesn't mean that you can't be flexible and figure something out for them. Again, if they're the right person to begin with, they have to be the right person to begin with.
absolutely. Okay. So this came up because of an event that I was just at where we could see some people got invited because they had money. And
Ah, okay.
right, so one of the sponsors, and I wouldn't say the sponsor was a really um, bad person. I think he was an interesting person, and he resonated with certain people in the group, and just ticked off a bunch of other people in the group. And it was,
Yeah.
and I was asking, why was this sponsor here? Because even what he's selling seems out of sync with the whole theme of the event. And I was told,
Hmm.
well, he got invited because he was a sponsor and he had the money, and they were willing to take the money. And I'm like, it, it just it doesn't quite fit.
Well, and so that's the experience from a participant,
Yeah.
right? So that's important, right? Like that's like as you're putting events together, you have to remember that like at the end of the day it's the participants and like who you're serving, it's their experience, it's like that's everything.
Mhm.
And if you are jeopardizing that or kind of going off kilter, I think it's it, it's up to you to kind of take a step back and go, but is this really the right thing? Because it doesn't help the sponsor either. If the sponsor is, like, really out of alignment, how much like, how much benefit are they
Mhm.
gonna get from the event?
Yeah.
I'd much rather be told, like, "Hey, I'd like to sponsor this event," and be told, "You know what? This isn't the crowd for you. This isn't quite the right time for you. Let's find another place to play. Like, let's find another way to collaborate. It's not this." Like, I think as the event, like, the promoter, the person, you know, like, actually conducting the event, I would have a lot more respect for it, like, as a sponsor to somebody saying, "You know what? This one isn't for you. Let's find another one, or let's figure something else out." Because then it's like, "Okay, well, at least you're not, like, just taking my money, and then I'm gonna go up there and fail anyways," because that's not a win-win by definition. That's not a win-win-win. Like, the participants don't win, the speaker doesn't win, the event doesn't win. So that like, why would you set your event up for failure like that?
It I think the number one answer is, well, they offered to pay me a lot of money. Right? So
And that's where the cash flow conversation comes in, and maybe you can talk about this a little bit, Shiraz, given your expertise. But like, how do you kind of rise above that and kind of look at your business from a, okay, 5 years down the road, the future self looking back on this decision, am I going to be proud of it or not? Right? Like, am I going to be like, oh yeah, that what, that worked out? Or like, can you kind of go, ooh, like, that was not so much good.
yeah, and it comes down to that need, like, I need cash now. If you're in that mode, you're not gonna make the same decisions, or you probably won't make the same decisions as, it's all gonna work out, and let's just see who's in alignment. And I've seen this with a lot of people in just taking on clients, or in doing events like in this one. It's just like, okay, we need that cash in now, we need that infusion, or else then it could be that big bill that's coming up, I'm never gonna be able to pay it, so I need this now. And
Mhm.
right, and so there's that desperation comes in. And when you get to that place of true faith that it's all going to work out, then you you trust that someone else will fill the spot. Maybe they won't have as much, but they'll be a better match, or it just won't get filled, and you may have that bill come in, but you'll be able to deal with it. Something else will show up, so you can get around that. It's when you give into that low frequency, that panic, anxious, sometimes just complete terror of what's about to come, then that's when you make decisions that cost you in the long run, though they may help you in the short term.
Yeah, and I think that you also, I mean, the event that you just came back from,
Mhm.
your overall experience was what?
Meh. So
Hmm?
it was meh. There was
Yeah.
some cool,
Eh,
yeah, there were some cool presentations. There was a couple that was just like, what's going on? And yeah, so overall it was okay. I mean, it was on a cruise ship, so there was always the shore excursions that you know
Yeah.
counteracted it. But if you took away all the amenities of the location, then it's as an experience of just an event, it was there was I don't know, it just sort of went like ups and downs and ups and
Yeah.
downs, as opposed to wow, this is a great event that just keeps getting better.
Right. So I would say that your event experience at the end of the day was confused.
Mhm.
That's fair. Um, do you want, like, folks, do you want to put on an event that confuses people? Or that they come away and say, "Oh, how was Catherine's event?" Meh.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, I can't think of, well, I can think of things worse, like, "Oh my god, it was awful," but, that's, you're bringing that energy, you're bringing that focus, into the environment if you start, like, right from the beginning in that need based, that, "Oh my god, if this doesn't, like, if, I'm gonna lose everything if this person doesn't sponsor," that puts a lot of pressure on that person, on that
mm,
sponsorship. They may not even know it. But it's also, like, it's just gonna go wonky on you. Like, I just, very few times is that decision gonna actually play out in a really great way, I
yeah.
think.
And just to be clear, like I have no idea what the motivations of this host were to bring that particular person on. We're just speculating here, and these are the typical reasons that come up when I've seen things like this in the past. And yeah, and I have empathy because there are a lot of people out there, coaches, trainers, they're having a rough time. I mean, the
Yep.
reason I put on the Wealthy Healers Conference is because the average salary for a coach or a healer is less than $35,000 a year. So money is a big factor. And w- the the crazy thing is when you stop letting money be the big factor and go from integrity, more money shows up. And it's really hard to see when you're in the middle of it, but I've been through it and I know this works.
Yeah, and you've helped me through it, so it definitely works. Um and it's, when you get to the other side of that, and you stay on the other side, because
Yeah.
you fall back a lot, but you can actually create from a place of fun, and a place of innovation, and a place of, wouldn't it be cool if this was the sponsor, or if that person could show up and participate, or if I could give away speaking spots to the people in the audience, or like some of my clients, if I could just put on an event that has my clients getting speaking spots because they need the practice. I mean, whatever it is for you, um that place of fun then is in integrity with how you want to serve, which then brings in the funds that you need. So it's, you just got to kind of flip it on its side.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are going to take a quick commercial break. And when we get back, I'm going to get Catherine to talk about what her big project is right now, because what she's doing is making sure you have clients that you won't say no to. because you're getting all the right information on them. So we are going to be right back.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
All right, welcome back. And I'm here with Catherine O'Leary, the CIA director. No, not that CIA. and she's
Should be the new tagline.
yeah, no, not that CIA. Yes. And well, you've been working on this new project that is just fascinating to hear about, and really powerful when it comes to client acquisition. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so one of the so for the past kind of 3 years, what I've been doing is helping entrepreneurs and small businesses attract clients through quizzes, and through asking questions and being curious, and providing ideal clients with some quick wins around the problems that they're facing. One of the things that actually was not happening, and that I know from my market research days in corporate, that is like where a lot of the value comes from in asking people questions, is actually looking at the information on the back end. So people were using quizzes and are using quizzes as, really kind of high, glorified email captures, which is fine. They do that, they do attract ideal clients, but 90% of the information that is really super useful is the information that you're getting off of the questions, and really understanding your ideal client a little better. That wasn't happening. So I kind of took the summer and recrafted things and came up with the client intelligence agency. And one of the things that I'm super excited about is an ideal client toolkit. And this toolkit, with like 4 questions, it asks you 4 questions, it will actually build you a 9 or 10 page profile of your ideal client. So
Wait,
what your
I'm
client
going to stop you right there. 4 questions, and you get a
for
9 to 10 page summary.
Yep.
How is that even possible?
With AI.
Oh.
Yeah. So with AI and with some frameworks that I have developed over the years around understanding, kind of how questions work and how the interaction between questions can work, we've created a super survey, if you will, with these 4 questions. You answer that, you get a profile of your ideal client, demographics, psychographics, buying behaviors, lifestyle behaviors, worldviews. I mean, their pain points, their objections, how your business can actually help them, and that's free. And you get that as a starting point, because a lot of businesses don't do or don't know where to go to actually do some of the market research that a lot of corporate already, knows how to do. So I wanted to actually create a starting point and a foundation of, the first thing you've got to know in your business is your ideal client profile. Like, what are they waking up at 3 a.m. worried about? What else is going on in their life? What have they tried? What have they, why didn't it work? What is their highest goal? What's their achievements? Where they want to be? Who are they trying to be? Once you have that kind of foundation, you can work on your messaging, you can work on your offers, you can work on personalization and customization of your community and your emails out, and like everything goes from that foundational spot. But I wanted to make sure everyone had the foundation to begin with. So we created this ideal client toolkit that actually gives you that. And then you can save your profile, and then as we build new tools out, the cool thing is that you just bring up your profile and the new tool actually feeds in the older information, and you go from there. So it's going to be like an ecosystem of ways that you can engage with your clients in order to build those deeper relationships.
And it's interesting because I like the way you laid that out, because when you first said you're going to get all the demographics, you're going to get their pain points, I know a lot of entrepreneurs that would be watching this go, well, then what else do I need? I think isn't that all I need to get the client? But it's not just this is how you contact them, is this is how you communicate with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I see a lot of entrepreneurs falling short. I know I've done that myself, and the that nurturing of them, that making them feel understood, is so vital. Um, uh, one of the things that's big right now are those gifts, the gift
Mhm.
bundles. And when I first started using gift bundles, it would add hundreds of people to my email list, and then I'd see some attrition. And now it's interesting because I see, and I've heard from a lot of people, is that people have gotten so used to bundles that they'll subscribe and then immediately unsubscribe when they're
Yeah.
in a bundle, right? And so with the information you give these people to put into their lead magnet or their messaging for the lead magnet, it'll correct me if I'm wrong, it'll see a lot less attrition because people are going to want more from you.
Yeah, so you're like, I mean, if you think about a lot of entrepreneurs start at this place of I've built it and they should come,
Yeah.
right? If you build it, they will come. That's not the way it works, right? So we tend to do an okay job of getting the pain points, but we don't get a lot of the context around that.
Mm.
So, if you can meet people where they're at and say things like, hey, I get it. Not only are you worried about the 3 a.m. of how do I grow my business, but it's because you got two kids going into college.
Mhm.
And you're worried about college tuition, and you've got a competitor that is coming up on your heels and doing this. Like, I get what's going on with you. And building that relationship on common ground so that your nurture sequences or your master classes or your communications, like your podcast, is reaching people where they're at instead of guessing
Mhm.
where they're at. And then also weaving in, your business, like this is how the business can help in more of a storytelling way, as opposed to, here's bullet A and here's, point A, right? Here's bullet B, point B. Um, Sometimes that doesn't bridge the gap of, okay, I get that I'm having this problem. I get you have this solution. I don't understand how the two work. So how do we get that messaging across? How do we say, like I'm here to help you, and if this works, if this fits, like again, going back to your original question of taking on ideal clients only, like assuming that this fits, let's, like how do we best work together, and how can I best help you?
And we've got, ooh, we love a bundle. We also unsubscribe. LOL. So, so this is what you're saying is important because um, you're actually, the way you're doing it is what you're giving them is eliminating the people you'd say no to.
Yes.
All right. So that makes it easier for us when the clients come in. It's like, well, I don't have to say no because what Catherine's already done for me has taken all those people out of the
Yeah.
field.
Like, this is what your person looks like. We even give them a name, right? Victoria. Victoria is this, this, and this, right? Like, I mean, this is what she's struggling with. This is what, her demographics are. This is where she lives typically. She values these things, so on and so forth. So that when you run into, Victor, and Victor doesn't like quite align, then you've got an early warning system
Mhm.
of not so much for this. But it's also around, the tighter that your messaging is to your ideal client, the less likely you're going to attract the people that you don't want to be working with. So the more focused that you are and the more dialed in to your ideal client that you are, with your messaging and your branding and like your offers and everything, the more likely you are to, have your ideal clients knocking on your door and not having to worry about as much, vetting out people that aren't good for a good fit for you.
Okay. So I'm curious, how far does this system take things? So the the initial part is we're going to identify your ideal client from those four
Mhm.
questions. And then you said then we get into copy and email sequences. How far down the line does it go, or does it just keep naturally building on itself?
So there are certain elements of kind of the customer journey that we're
Mhm.
breaking down and helping our clients go through. So as we build these tools, that's what we're like, what do we need for retention? Well, let's talk about the email nurture sequence and how can we help our clients build those easier. Or, like let's look at the offers. Are our offers, like, do the ideal client profile and the offers match? Right? Like, what's our match point? What's missing in the offer that, the ideal client is looking for? Or maybe there's a new offer out there for you. We can also be talking about things like, how do I personalize and customize my messaging? So we get into segmentation, and how to, work with your CRM and so on. So these are kind of higher level things that we're building out. Um, it all starts with the foundation, though, and every tool is going to actually call in that foundation to make sure that we're always building on that foundation, so that you're not having to go back and recreate,
Right.
but also that you're continuing forward and being consistent. Because if you're inconsistent, people are going to notice and they're going to go, what? Like, how? Why is that person on stage? Like, then you're just back to the event that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things, or maybe two of the things you just said there, it's I'm always amused when you speak, Catherine, because you'll say something that is like, well, it's just matter of fact, it does this, and meanwhile, I'm like, it does what? Right. Um, so you start using the system, and it's going to say your program is missing this, and you don't even know it.
Could be. Yep. Yeah, you could be missing this. I mean, it's not gonna tell you, "Oh my god, you have to go do this, it's gonna make you $7 million." I mean,
Yeah.
like that, like, I'm not financial advisor, I'm not a legal advisor, I'm not a dating advisor, right? Like, I mean, no advisor here.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, as we are building these tools, what I envision is, yeah, here's my ideal client, here are my offers, like, what's the match, and what in the ideal client profile, like, what are the challenges or the goals, like the aspirations that I want to get to, what isn't covered in the offer.
Mhm.
And that could be a messaging thing, that could be an offer thing, that could be a bonus thing, that could also be a whole new offer conversation. So yeah, those are the types of conversations that we're having. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't mean that you're going to make millions of dollars, but there are people with the program, and I've done this too. I've gone from program to program. Like they've got A, B, and D, and they've got C and E, and they've got, and I'm like, where's the program that's got A, B, C, D, and E? And
Yeah.
so, because you're going to be looking at what clients are asking for, what you're offering, like getting all that information, then it'll say, look, everyone else is doing this, and they're either missing A or E or D. And so if you just put those in your program, you've got everything covered with everything clients are looking, the majority of clients are looking for.
Hmm. Assuming that you've got the ideal client profile that you like, right?
Because it all
So
starts from that.
get that foundation,
Yep.
and then, and then we can build from there. And the one thing that I would say to people is that, doing the client profile once, like, I mean, I built the tool specifically so you can do it a couple of times, or
Mm.
do it as many times as you want. Like, you can play with it and play around until you get an ideal client profile that you're aligned with, because the first time you go through it, you might end up with Victor. And looking through it and you're like, well, like, I didn't put the right inputs in here because I don't want to work with that person.
Yeah.
But also, like, if you are a coach, or a Shiraz, as you're going through and helping, the $1 million impact makers, you can put their information in and create an ideal client profile for them so that you understand what they're dealing with. Or you can give it to them, as something, as a add-on or a bonus or something, so that you always start at that point, and then you're leveling up to, okay, now that I understand that, is my messaging correct? Are my offers correct? Is there anything missing? Is there anything I can create to actually, fill some gaps? Is there anything I can do to get more personalized and customized? And is there anything I can do with the customer experience journey that I can help? Like, is your onboarding on point? Do you have the mechanisms in place to continually get feedback on your courses or on your classes? Or, like, do you have those assessments and, like, those tools in place to always getting that client feedback? Because that's where the goodies are. Like, that's where the data is, and that's where the next offer will come from, or the next, great idea, innovation will come from. Because at the end of the day, the gold star, in my opinion, the best in class, is when you're actually co-creating with your ideal clients, right? So your ideal clients are asking for this, and you are so in tune with them that you just go ahead and create it, and then you'll never have to worry about client acquisition, because you're always in that mode of making sure that you are serving your ideal clients, and the competition won't even know what hit them.
All right. Just as a little aside here, I just got a text from Erin. She is in one of those areas after the hurricane that has no power. So she's
Ooh,
waiting for
right.
power to come
Okay.
back. So
Our
we,
love to Erin.
yeah, we will have
Safe,
her on a
be
different
safe.
show because Erin shows up. So when she wasn't here, I'm like,
Yeah,
that's not like Erin. So
yeah.
yeah, but no power is a good excuse. So
Okay, but as long as everyone's fine,
everyone's fine.
no
Yeah.
power we can deal with, or
Yeah.
she can deal with. Yeah, the royal we. Sorry, Erin.
All right. So this is a really cool technology. And the one thing that just hits me is when you're talking about this, it comes off so almost common sense, it feels like, and yet no one's really doing it. Right? So,
Well, so say more about that. What do you mean nobody's really doing it?
so the way you describe it, like when I'm looking at different programs, there are some programs that's really, really specific. This is what you're getting out of this program. However, even in that program, I don't see a lot of working with the client to see what's next. It's more
Mm,
the staff gets together and so what do you think would be cool? And so it's their discussion, not this
yeah.
co-creation discussion.
Yes, that does seem like it would be logical,
Yep.
and there are very few people that are doing it,
Yep.
and doing it well, and they're the large corporations.
Ah,
Right? Like, they're the
okay.
Pepsis and the Apples and the Adobes. So, and they don't always get it right, but they shoot their shot a lot more than we do. So, that what market research, or what has been typically, going out and talking to clients and so on, it's been a one-off, right? Like, yeah, I did market research. 10 years ago or pre-COVID or I talk to my clients all the time and it's like, yes, but do you actually collect the data and analyze it? Because you're like, I mean, you don't think like a researcher. And so like those are the tools that we're giving you is to be able to kind of your clients will never tell you what the next widget is. They can't tell you what the next Swiffer is or what the next flavor of pop is, but they can tell you what they want, and
Hmm.
you can infer it from there. So that's the power that we're putting in the hands of entrepreneurs and small business.
Wow. So it's it's almost giving them what big corporations have, but in a especially just the entry, just that entry is free, and then a more affordable space to
Mhm.
build their companies from.
Exactly. And it is with the advent of AI, what is happening is the ability to actually that I can then give you a tool that is actually customized and personalized 100% to you. So,
Hmm.
Shiraz, when you answer those 4 questions, and then, if Carrie, your assistant, answers the same 4 questions, they're likely going to be slightly different because you've used slightly different wording or slightly different, ways of describing things, or
Hmm.
you have totally different businesses. So when like it's actually a different output
Mhm.
that will actually come out of it. So your output will never be the same as, your nearest competitor or or somebody else that is, in the space. It'll be yours.
Nice. So now you just got me. It was like the mind is working here, and I'm like, and we're almost out of time. So, um, when those questions get asked,
Mhm.
what would be the difference? Or and you probably haven't put this in the system now. Would it be best for me to fill it out, or would it be best for me to actually get who I would consider my ideal client to give me the answers for those questions?
It would be you because it actually asks you about the business, right?
Mhm.
So what we wanted to make sure that we did was make sure that we aligned you and your business with your ideal client because it's no good for us to give you an ideal client profile that doesn't align with your business
Okay.
or the problems that you say that you're solving,
Okay.
right? Because the problems that you say you're solving and then when you see the output,
Yeah.
if it's actually you kind of look at it and go, "Oh, hmm, it's not quite what I do, right?
Okay.
This is what happened when actually started with quizzes, and I said, I want to make sure that I'm, competing against lead generation companies. Well, lead generation companies are SaaS companies. They're like LinkedIn and
Mm.
Salesforce, and I was like, whoa, no. No, no, that's not what I want to do, right? Like I
Yeah.
want to be client acquisition. Like I want to be, that, profile. So I switch my language. It was just language,
Hmm.
right? So it would be better for you to do it. And then, maybe have people reread like the output and just kind of like, does this sound like you?
Hmm.
Like, does this align? It's not going to be perfect, of course. But it's going to give you a better overview than going with nothing.
Okay. I like it. Cool. All right. We are almost out of time here. So, Catherine, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do it?
Yeah, well, I suggest going and getting your own ideal client profile, which you can do at the clientintelligenceagency.com. So that's all one word, clientintelligenceagency.com. Not the other guys.
Not the other guys. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for dropping in and being my substitute guest. So,
Anytime.
and this is also something I want the viewers to be aware of. Have someone like Catherine, you should technically have a few, like that are there that you can rely on. If you're in a pinch, they can come in, get on your show, help you out with something, because it's really important to have that community and have that support. And like Catherine's not just here to help me out with the show. We will call each other and pitch ideas off each other, and I just did this, and it's don't keep yourself in a silo.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's how your business is going to grow. That's how fresh ideas are going to come out because you're not in this alone. And if you feel like you're in this alone now, start networking, stop being alone, build your business.
Yep.
All right. So we are heading out. Thank you so much for watching this thing live or recorded, wherever you're doing it. I'll be back next month, possibly with Erin. Hopefully she'll have power by then. but we'll see who the next guest is. We are only this is September. 2 more shows left this year. And then the New Year's Eve special, as always. We'll see. Maybe we'll broadcast it live from the Breakthrough Show Network. We haven't done that yet. I'm going to talk to Jessica about that. That could be a lot of fun. So thank you again, Catherine. We're going to head out.
Thank you.
All right. And we'll see you next time on Rewriting Reality.